advantage. I would say that everyone compares him to Ninja Gaiden. However, Spectre has a lot of technical nuances that make him very difficult to handle. It's easy to get stuck on walls, on ledges, and if you're not used to the way the character controls, you can find yourself falling into pits. You're definitely not in for a good time if you're not incredibly familiar with the character.
No, I agree 100%.
Looks like we got things started.
Yep, both players making their way through the first room and then collecting their first skull. So the red skulls, if you've never seen Spectre Knight before, the red skulls are Spectre's currency, which allow him to buy his relics, or curios as they're called. And we'll get into those later after the players have made their purchases. So Mumu, as a top runner of this character, what would you say is like pertinent to getting a good time, especially in planes?
For the planes and for flying machine, we're going to see these runners will not have their primary movement tool that you're going to look at for the rest of the run, and that would be rail mail. They need to save up a lot of money for that, so where they choose to get money from is extremely important, and optimizing Spectre's base kit is also extremely important. If you can do proper damage boosting, Spectre does have some tricky double dashing as well, which is a trick where you can dash to an object and then off of that same object, although it's very precise. There's all kinds of little things that you can do to speed up the game when you're limited on tools and resources.
Yeah. And we see BrassWolf getting an extra bit of health from the Planes of Passage. I do the same myself, just because I am honestly not very good at this character in the speedrun sense.
No, I hear ya. It's very tempting and certainly very useful for a tournament match. We just saw Steelheart and Brass do something called ladder hopping, where since you jump faster than you climb a ladder normally, by temporarily attaching to a wall and then jumping off of it, you can climb up more quickly.
If you've seen a run of regular Shovel Knight, this quick kill may look familiar to you.
It's a little bit slower, but it's just as consistent, thankfully, if not a little bit easier than Shovel in some ways.
It's definitely easier.
You just have to be spacing dependent. I feel like Shovel gives you a good rhythm. This one you kind of have to finagle it a bit.
I agree.
Now they're coming up on the tower lobby. This is the main hub for Spectre's campaign, and they'll be coming here after they beat every stage. Every time they defeat a stage, they'll have access to different curios from this fun fellow named Red. The armor vendor, Manny, and then Missy will offer different wisps. Now, because they can pick the stages in any order, they are going to the flying machine. It's an incredibly scary and dangerous stage, but there's a lot of good reason to be here.
Yeah, this level has... I think it actually has the most gold of any level in this campaign. I think I had to test that one day.
I don't doubt it. I've had to deal with many of Azulag's reroutings for Hundo.
Yeah, but this level has two 500 checkpoints, 750, and two 350s. And if you break all of them, you end up with, I think, around 9,000 gold, I think a little bit over. And then you can also grab some extra 200s for safety, which take a little more time to get. We see Steelheart picking up one right there. That one's one of the faster ones to get in this level.
I'm hoping that means they will not break one of the checkpoints.
Yeah.
When you break a checkpoint, you do get a ton of money for it, whatever the colored gem inside indicates how much you're going to get. But then it's no longer going to serve as a checkpoint, and since this stage is not only incredibly long, but perilous, deaths can easily cost you in the minutes.
Yeah, Steelheart got a beautiful setup and kill on the mini boat, the mini boss boat. BrassWolf unfortunately falling behind because he pulled a muncha and goofed the quick kill.
He was also having a little bit of trouble with the blue Jawa. Those enemies are actually called hover minis, but They are extremely terrifying because bodily contact with them deals a full heart of damage, and they also blow fans at you, which can easily knock you into a pit. The blue ones will push you into hopefully useful places, but the green ones are definitely designed to try and destroy your life.
Thank goodness there's only 3 of them.
All in one room!
You can jump over them. Right, I'm curious if... Okay, Steelheart's going for it. So the only thing that Steelheart has to worry about since he's broken the first 3 is whether or not he decides to go for a risky jump in the room after this one. I mean, since it's a tournament, I wouldn't go for it. I would do what we call tournament strats, which is just, you know, being safe.
I have confidence in Steelheart.
Oh my god.
Nice.
He's my hero.
No, Steelheart definitely boasts being incredible, and he certainly backs that up by going for it and executing a number of strats. He has a little bit to go. I believe that he can get a sub 40 if he keeps at it. Brass actually waiting a little bit in the triple jaw room, and that's specifically because of those moving platforms. That actually puts them in positions that makes it much easier to be able to avoid having to deal with them. So Propeller is a pretty scary boss. He actually deals a full heart of damage every time he lunges. He can also deal a heart and a half with his head fan, and every time you hit him, he tries to move, so it makes it difficult to tunnel DPS onto him. Steelheart did pretty good. Brass also did pretty good there on the first round. He's unfortunately losing a little bit of time by walking into Propeller. One of the downsides of taking damage on this second phase, apart from how lethal it can be, ooh, I really hope he doesn't die, oh man, is that since you're falling down, gravity is also taking into effect. Please! Oh, come on! Oh, thank God.
And you doubted him.
Meanwhile, Steelheart just picked up the curio that Flying Machine unlocks, which is the Judgment Rush. Allows you to target enemies and even fly through walls to deal a full heart of damage at them. So it's got quite a number of useful skips it offers. And he also picked up the Rail Mail from Manny. Unlocking Manny requires 2,400 gold, and then another 6,000 to purchase the armor that now allows him to grind through every stage.
Yeah, now by holding down on, well, just down, whatever direction you have is that, you can skate on pretty much any surface. Actually, no, any surface in the game, including spikes.
But not lava.
No, lava's not a surface. Lava is just death.
Speaking of, we'll see if they came to an agreement on a certain trick later on. But for now, they're in the Explodatorium, because they're both doing the Bounding Soul route. Of the 2 routes, this is the faster one. It's much more technical. The Skeletal Sentry allows you to basically set it and forget it, and it will do a lot of work on bosses. But the downsides to the Skeletal Sentry are that it really can't do much about enemies in the air. It'll need a lot more skulls, so you actually won't have it for one additional boss over the Bounding Soul route. And Bounding Soul is very mana efficient. However, you have to know exactly where you're placing your shots. And in this stage, we're already seeing Steelheart having had to deal with some pot cycles. Those are a global cycle, so from the moment they enter the stage, as opposed to the many local cycles that only happen on the screen, pot cycles are going on as soon as the fade-out ends. Brass taking a little bit of safety there not to get crushed into some spikes, while Steelheart deals with the Alchemister. It looks like he's doing pretty good. Optimally, you'll only have 2 hits left. He missed a couple of them. That fight can be very difficult because you have to fight the water current there.
Yeah. The Alchemeister has 23 health, which is the most of anything in the game if you're not playing co-op.
When's co-op, Specter?
Never.
I agree with that. Now, Brass actually went very cautiously to go and pick up some food, and I don't blame him because this hallway is extremely dangerous. Railmail, as a matter of fact, is not just fast and free, it's actually difficult to control. Spectre's normal moveset is pretty pretty okay to handle. However, because of your skating around, it's very easy to mistime it, get thrown around, bonk into walls. And here is Plague Knight. His incarnation for this campaign, we'll see him cloning himself, throwing a ton of bombs all over the place, teleporting around. It can actually be very difficult to determine which one is the real one. He's actually having a pretty good fight right now. Teleports can usually get Plague Knight across the room. Not bad.
Teleports are great. He's on him.
Brass stuck in the fire trap room right now. This is another room with global cycles. And it's better to definitely be waiting for the next opportunity to move rather than trying to continually damage boost your way through the room. That's also a green Duck Knight enemy, and there are a couple of the gold armors that we call them Duck Knights. They all have different properties, and that one will try to do a bop on your head. Kind of annoying to try and avoid. Steelheart is about halfway through the first memory. Memories are much like Shovel Knight's dream sequences. However, as you're playing as Donovan, who is similar to Specter, you don't have access to your armor or your special curios that you've unlocked. He'll only have access to health and mana upgrades. Steelheart, Brass only has a little bit left to go here on Plague. Excellent. And Steelheart actually has quite a lot of money as well. They're looking to have 5,000 by the time they reach Mole Knight in the next stage. And that is so that the boss money awarded to them will allow them to upgrade the weapon you're seeing on Steelheart's screen right now, which is the Bounding Soul. That was unlocked from clearing the Explodatorium. It fires at 45-degree angles, and you can only have 2 out on the screen. It consumes half a bar of darkness, which is Specter's mana. So right now it's not very powerful, but that'll be fixed once we go to the upgrade vendor after Lost City. Why don't you tell me about your favorite stage?
Let me tell you, Lost City has a lot of interesting things in it. For one, these green goo blocks will push you back when you hit them, which you won't actually see what happened to Fortuity. But that's because the rail mail, when you're skating, it cancels the knockback from these goo blocks, which you can also cancel by jumping after you hit the ground again. But most of this level involves using rail mail to jump over things or skate over gaps, and then using Judgment Rush and enemy placement to dash over gaps that you could otherwise not cross.
Oh, no!
Oh goodness.
What is he going to do?
Save.
Okay, so because of the way he did that, he actually he despawned the Beto. He actually adjusted very well. He's a little no. And that money bag is pretty much not gettable.
Yeah, unfortunately for Steelheart, I don't know why he chose to turn around. I guess he thought he wouldn't make it. But he was in a situation that, it is a scary spot, but he was in the exact position that we've all been in many times before, where for a brief moment you see the reticle appear on the thing you want to dash, and you try dashing it, but you're just a hair too late.
Okay, so all that extra money he got before is actually kind of helping him out right now. You lose 25% of your total gold when you die. I don't agree with breaking that checkpoint.
I don't either, because now he's going to miss the cycle in this room on the lantern, which I guess isn't really that important.
It is important if he dies, though. Okay.
No, that's the important part. But
Brass taking it a little bit more safely on Beetle 1. There are so many ways to get through this room. Oh my god!
That was good. And then, that was that was a very good choice there by Brass. Just do the easy thing, let the birder guide you.
Jesus Christ. Steelheart, is he going to go for this weird Bounding Soul rebound? He does, nice. So for some reason, Bounding Soul, because it bounces off the wall directly above that green slime, the game thinks that it's coming from the other side of the slime ball, and it actually pushes it out from that crevice. So it's about a half second to a second save of time there. And please, thank you for grabbing that checkpoint. Oh no, Brass fell into lava!
I'm guessing most people don't know that you can grab that checkpoint where Steelheart just passed, and also still make the cycle on the birder.
I have done that before. It is, however, pretty tricky, but yeah, a lot of runners don't go for it. And
it is not hard at all.
I
Every time I've done it, I end up having to play with Steve and the Steve holder.
You are sad when you do that. Anyway.
He did not grab the checkpoint before Mole. He only has 3 hearts. He should be fine if he does execute the kill properly. He's getting some nice double hits. Because of the way Specter's attacks work, it's very difficult to damage enemies in the air. However, ooh, he doesn't quite get the quick kill. Nice. He does finish him off before he causes more trouble. As an enemy is passing by in the air, because of especially how fast Mole Knight flies by, Specter can actually attack with his scythe, and the active frames of the scythe will hit Mole before he gets to him. Specter will recover, and then be able to do a dash attack for 2 hits per pass.
Yeah, one thing I don't think we went over is that you can use the Judgment Rush to stall your movement in the air, provided there's no enemies on screen for you to target.
Brass actually opted not to do that. I'm impressed.
Yeah, he did the much harder strat.
Low percent, boys. Now, Steelheart had enough money to go and talk to the upgrade vendor Legion. Unlocking him is 3,000, and the upgrades are 4,000 each. The upgraded Bounding Soul now pierces enemies. You can have 4 out on the screen at a time. It's much more powerful, and he is up against Dark Rees, who will very annoyingly try to jump at walls, avoid your attacks. He's not doing too bad on him, though. He wants to try and finish him off before one more teleport. Is he gonna get it? Okay, he did. And Brass did also handle Mole Knight pretty well. With 8,000 gold, he is 1,000 clear. Steelheart also should not have to worry about money. They're looking for 2,000 gold before they clear the next stage, and then they're pretty much set on gold for the rest of the run.
Yeah, luckily Brass can just pick up some extra gold. Wait, doesn't he still need more money? Or am I mistaken? Oh wait, no, it's 7,000 total you need, that's right. I was thinking of the armor.
Yeah, he good. Ooh, Steelheart tried. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him a special shout out to this one. I found a strat in that room where you do an awkward dash attack on one of the snails, turn around and damage boost, and it was really, really difficult to do without getting yourself killed. Steelheart found a way to make that trick actually easier. So that room is affectionately called Snail Parade, and Steelheart definitely gets a special mention for making that a much more consistent trick.
Ooh. So he did have to use a Judgment Rush to recover there because he unfortunately dashed down on that second critical enemy.
Oh, he has enough mana. Nice.
Yeah, he has just enough, luckily. But that's because he chose not to Judgment Rush the Gobkano.
Oh no, and Brass was actually taken out by Dark Rees. Even with 5 health, Rees can deal a full heart of damage. He definitely covers the screen up. It's very difficult to get in on Dark Rees.
Every time someone dies to Dark Rees, the terrorists win.
Oh my god. Speaking of things that are spooky, Steelheart is currently dealing with the 420 fish. Normally known as the Teflon, this guy just likes to get really high, which makes it very difficult to attack him. We'd rather the chest be closer to the ground. He's actually getting great reflex there. He only has... Nice. So that's one of the scarier things about 420 fish, is that you want to reflect and get double damage off of each bounding soul. However, you could accidentally end up dashing into your death. You want to tell us about something special coming up on Steelheart's screen?
Yeah, he's going to be entering the Anchor Room, which in Specter's campaign has this fish called Bertha. And if he's feeling saucy, he could go for a strat where he uses the fish to skip waiting for the anchor. So to do that, he has to pay attention to the motion of the fish. He has to stay in the school or he's surely going to miss. If he loses his way, it's a cold black abyss, so he shouldn't take the chance. It's not worth the risk. So instead, he opts to just do the Judgment Rush strat. It just barely lives.
I love you. The last room in this stage is the missile room, and it can be difficult to slip through it pretty quickly. He is coming up on Treasure Knight, who has a really good quick kill. I'm pretty confident he can get it. Nice, lining up his shots. The damage boost is intentional. Not much left to go here. Pretty good. And Brass...
He's doing well. He's going along. He took a lot of damage in the previous anchor room, unfortunately.
Yeah, anchors deal a full heart, and one of those other things about Bertha is that she'll actually deal 2 full hearts of damage. So he's actually not in a good position right now. He needs to recover, or goodness, be extremely brave. Ooh, and that's that down dash I was talking about. And he is looking for some fish.
I guess that's faster than getting the food in this screen. I don't know. I mean, nothing is really was going to hurt him in between here and Bertha, and there's an apple. I don't know. I don't agree with him getting that health.
I think he could have lasted up to this room, coming up, where he can pick up the dinner plate. But again, it's all about how the runners are going to hold their nerves.
That's true.
Thinking about what's ahead and not getting rattled by what's happening. Speaking of spooky, scary skeletons, our boy Steelheart is making his way through the Lich Yard, which is normally where you'd find Specter in the other campaigns. On the Skeletal Sentry route, this stage is actually optimized with only 2 mana, so having 3 darkness on this stage makes it a little bit easier, a little bit safer.
Oh,
there are some additional tricks. Oh no!
He unfortunately missed the jump before the missiles.
He still has plenty of money. He shouldn't try to go out of his way for it.
No, he's got everything he needs. He doesn't need that because he's gonna get all the money he'll ever need from killing treasure. Because after that, he can just wait on the darkness as long as he's confident in his abilities.
Okay,
but I guess it's right there, so why not? I question getting that health, but I will accept. Is he planning on buying more health later, or is he just
not
trying to
sure.
get darkness early? I don't understand. We'll see what he's cooking up.
He's actually doing pretty good here on treasure as well.
Well, that reminds me. I have a strat to record. And I'm sorry, continue.
No, I'm excited now. And Steelheart dealing with Phantom Striker, one of the Wandering Adventurers, is actually the boss here. It's very difficult, but it is possible to kill Phantom Striker with only 1 teleport. The basketballs, as we like to call them, are actually showing their strength by getting dribbled in the corner. You can actually constantly hit them with your scythe to deal massive damage to bosses.
Yeah, what's interesting is that Phantom Striker normally will perform a little like parry to reflect most projectiles, and he'll do that on Bounding Soul initially, but for whatever reason he can't do it when you ricochet the Bounding Soul.
Yeah, in total, your slash. Oh no!
I've done that before. He was like barely a pixel or 3, and just too short on that frog being fully on screen.
I did that like 3 hours ago. Judgment Rush has to have an enemy mostly on screen at the very least.
Yeah, there's a lot of little rules to Judgment Rush. It won't target anything that's on the same Y-axis as you, and it also won't target certain enemies if they are in tight spaces. It also will not target one specific enemy that's on a ladder, unless it is it's in one pixel-perfect location.
I've gotten that one too, and it's not useful either!
No, it's not useful, but you can get it just by mashing, so it's not very special.
Meanwhile, Steelheart actually approaching Shield Knight. He got through the second memory and was given Caltrops by Luan. It's something that is available in the first stream sequence, but it does take a while to try and get. We'll see what kind of kill he tries to set up here on Shield Knight. Because of the gigantic shield she has, attacking her from the front is impossible. She has to throw out her shield if you want to be able to do that. Caltrops have to be fully resting for her to walk over them. She actually will just completely ignore them if she's charging too.
Yeah, she destroys them if she does her shield charge, which is unfortunate.
He had a pretty good kill there. He actually was maybe only like a second off an optimal kill, and 2 seconds off of one of Azulag's kills.
I think Brass meant to attack that checkpoint before he transitioned screens.
Did he whiff?
No, he just jumped and like didn't perform the attack. Like I think his hand, if he intended to hit the checkpoint, I think he just missed the input because he did turn toward the checkpoint. But it didn't matter because he played the next room perfectly. So.
Ooh, he actually got quite a lot of juggles there from the basketballs.
Yeah, he only missed 2 hits of damage that's possible right there, as far as I know.
Steelheart now in the Clockwork Tower. Darkness is extremely important to manage properly at the beginning here. Unlike the previous stage, it's actually well calculated for the first half of this one. I believe he's going to be a little bit shy. I hope he makes that adjustment because the trick in the next screen actually doesn't save as much time as the trick in the screen after. Yeah, it looks like he's caught on to that. Very good. Now on Brass screen, we're actually hoping for a little bit of RNG, something that I missed when Steelheart was in the room. We're gonna hope for Gluon to keep on running.
Oh yeah.
Go Buff Boys. Go Gluon, go! Oh my god! Well, he did keep running, but going up top actually slowed him down a little bit. That's a shame.
That doesn't really make any sense, because usually that speeds him up.
I don't understand him.
I don't either, if it makes you feel any better.
Steelheart in the first of 2 auto-scrollers for Clockwork Tower. The checkpoints are lacking on this stage. They're all out of the way. They're not easy to get.
And they're very far apart, too.
There is one immediately after the auto-scroller. Please don't die. Come on, you got it, Steelheart. Not only are checkpoints few and far between, but health is also really not on the way. You have to go out of your way for that. Brass got some good bounces off of Shield Knight's shield for the first set of Caltrops, but he missed a couple hits, so now Shield Knight's kind of doing her own thing. He did seem to balance out the fight a little bit more. Brass actually going over the top of the screen. There are a couple of places where the ceiling is not actually there, and you're actually allowed to jump over obstacles.
Yeah, I showed that to one of the designers one day. He saw me practicing a run. He didn't know you could do that, and that's fun. Like it's because that particular object doesn't, its collision doesn't extend beyond the boundaries of the screen. And then this enemy, this gold armor that Brass just, or Steelheart just came up to, he's actually programmed to wait wait a full second, and then jump if you walk up to him. Otherwise, he just does whatever he wants. I know that because Alec, the designer, told me that himself. He set it up precisely so you could use the gold armor to skip that room.
Interesting.
Yeah, Alec threw in a lot of little subtleties, just to make the game, or the run as a whole, more friendly for speedrunners, especially in Flying Machine and the Tower of Fate entrance.
Yeah, I remember there being a number of things that made players feel particularly smart and special for figuring out. It's a good thing that the developers actually left them in there on purpose. So Steelheart is coming up on Tiny Man!
Yes, Tiny Man. My least favorite boss to fight.
It's only because we don't have the gear. Now the gear normally one-shots him, but instead he's going to use it. And this means that the fight is completely different from how you would normally deal with it as Shovel or Plague. That gear deals a full heart of damage if it ever happens to touch you.
Yeah, I remember seeing this that fight in the trailer before they had even shown anyone anything about Tinker Knight's campaign. And I remember going back and pausing each frame and just awing over how ridiculous this fight was.
I died of laughter once the wall broke, and it was like, oh, he's chasing us now. That's good.
It's different. Oh, something to note about this auto-scroller boss that Steelheart is on is that should you die, you don't actually lose gold in this room. But only to that boss.
Which is pretty fortunate because not only is it very easy to fall into a pit, take a ton of damage, fall off his shoulder, you can also get crushed by his shoulder.
You can?
Yes, if you fall behind Tinker's shoulder off the mech, and he backs up from a side switch, I've actually gotten straight up squished, and that is exactly what definitely happened. Huh. There was no confusing it. It was very strange.
I mean, technically there's nothing wrong with that. So I can't even write that up.
It only happens if you're not good, so don't worry. Here we are in Pridemore Keep.
I really like this level. This is one of my favorite levels in the run, honestly. I love this opening room when you do it right, like Steelheart just did. Oh my god.
Yo, lava pot cycles. Steelheart's actually coming up on one of my favorite enemies. I like to call him Paul Blart. He's just a security guard doing his job. It's possible to sneak by him. Oh, he just used Judgment Rush. Okay, that's cheating.
Okay, you just gotta use sorcery on the security guard, I see.
That's not fair. Give him a chance. Doing a very difficult damage boost there. You actually have to move through the room in a specific way, and mana's a little tight on this stage. It can be lax depending on which tricks you decide to skip, and this trick can kill you if you're too late on your timing there.
I mean, so far Steelheart has used all the right Judgment Rushes in all the right places. And now BrassWolf has made his way to Tinker.
We'll see how he handles Tiny Men.
With Force.
Oh, he's actually going for like a low percent strat, which I don't really blame him for. Runners, especially who were not familiar with the Bounding Soul route for a very long time. Brass switched recently, just for this tournament. The old route, Skeletal Sentry, actually went at this without the Bounding Soul.
Yeah, something that like throws me off personally when I tried to learn Bounding Soul route was that because you're not used to getting extra hits in at certain points, should you choose to use the Bounding Souls, it speeds up parts of the fight. Like, you can see how fast Tinker Knight moves back and forth, and BrassWolf is using the Judgment Rush strat. With the Bounding Soul strat, Tinker changes sides even faster, and it's a little hectic to keep up with when you're learning, and especially in the midst of a run. Just because there's so many scenarios that might happen, and if it's at a speed that you're not familiar with, you can have a hard time recovering should you mess up.
Yeah, that's something that all the bosses have their own desperation move, health triggers, however you want to call them. Depending on what amount of health they have left, they're programmed to do something different, and kind of squishing them together with the Bounding Soul, because you end up doing just so much damage in one moment, and sometimes you'll be lacking, you'll just be stuck in a terrible phase. So Brass just had his his visit from the Baz, and he's heading to Pridemore, while Steelheart heads to the stranded ship. Stranded ship is also a very mana-intense stage, depending on which tricks they go for.
Yeah, this is also the first level that you would normally see the skating mechanic on the rails there.
Oh, thank God, they can finally go fast.
Exactly.
The downside to the rails in this stage is that they only go in one direction. You actually can't change which way they move you. See how he does on the Bifrost Mother?
His reflections were on point, at least in my opinion.
He only fired 3 shots. If you had gotten that 4th one off, you probably would have actually gotten 1 cycle on her.
You know, I have this problem with Specter, where with Bounding Soul specifically, I can mash my Relic button, and no matter how many times I press it, I will only get 3 Bounding Souls. Or the 4th one comes out later than the button press.
He gave me a little bit of a heart attack there, doing an alternative strat for that first switch room. He actually specifically rode onto the spikes and then bonked on the wall, which sets you up to fall through the gate without having to time it. Lots of great basketball shots. Because they can actually hit switches, they actually do a good job of trivializing some of these puzzles. Now, he must have been watching my stream earlier, because I died in this room. So let's see how Brass deals with King, and then Steelheart is coming up on Polar. King can be extremely random. When he hits the floor, which happens a couple of seconds into the fight, all the platforms move into different spots, and because of the dependency on walls and surfaces for Bounding Soul to have its reflects, this fight is extremely difficult for Bounding Soul runners to predict. He actually didn't do too bad, though. He didn't get King Fetty.
Yeah.
Ooh, lots of hits.
The thing about both King and Polar is that there's extra hazards aside from just the boss. Like Steelheart, or like in Polar there's the spikes. In King Knight Fight there's the pits.
Yeah, Steelheart did a great job there. Polar actually is supposed to chase you down for a while, but because Steelheart was towards the middle of the screen, it cut down a lot of that runtime, got him into the corner, and you got a good set of rebounds and dribbles. Now, with all 8 of the night stages completed, he's going on to the end game, so he's heading to Tower 1. And this stage has such good music!
It's the best music. It's also probably the best level in the run, but that's just my opinion.
It's extremely difficult. There's a lot of tricks all over the place that can get you murdered.
Yeah. I like that, we never mentioned this I don't think, but both Steelheart and Brass are using a color code to change Specter's armor color. So they do have Rail Mail, which normally is like a black color, and then depending on which direction you're skating it changes to a slight red or blue on some of the trim. And I just think it's funny that the runners are using blue and red, like practically the same colors as Rail Mail.
Oh boy, Steelheart having a little bit of trouble here, letting go of a ladder and then trying to wall kick off of it is a little more mana efficient, but very difficult. The Crusher room here, this first part, provided he doesn't get whacked by that spike ball, he should be good to go now for the rest of it. The one thing to mention, however, in this Crusher room is that if he goes too quickly, the death plane is actually extremely high without these platforms being there, so he could easily end up... okay, that was a little scary, but anytime a runner does something I'm not used to seeing, I get a heart attack.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he was going for, and I agree with it.
The slime block room... Okay.
Yeah, he did one of the safer strats. He didn't do the suicidal Azulag strat that I do.
And he's in another Bertha room. This is the last time we're going to see her. However, we will try to give him smooch. Good smooch. Is he going to get this checkpoint? Okay, that's a good call there. A little out of the way, but honestly, it's peace of mind that you don't have to redo a ton of rooms. And I do love me this auto-scroller. It's actually super fun.
Yeah, Alex said that he really wanted to, like, give you one final, the big finale, if you will, at the end of the tower, followed by something kind of relaxing that you could just feel, you just reflect back and feel accomplished. And he's really happy, I think, with the way that this auto-scroller in the room after it turned out.
Oh, it's super thematic. I love it. You get to see a nice background, it's super gloomy, and then you get progressive rain? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So, if you could somehow get up to this room that Steelheart is in now, if you could get up here before the sky changes color to green, it'll start at red, and then cycle from yellow to then green. And if you do that, it just looks really interesting, having a bright red background and the bright green rain. Super
red. Super angry. Speaking of things that are super angry, this fight is not fun. This is Black Knight 2. He's going with the grounded battle here.
The grounded battle is, in my opinion, a little safer on health, provided you can still keep him locked down. But I don't think it's faster unless you get the most optimal strat.
Yeah, Engage found that one. Yo, nice shots. So Engage found a really crazy ground stun lock. The thing to note about Black Knight, though, is this was probably done intentionally, is that because Spectre can attack so quickly, they gave him a free escape. Black Knight, every 3 hits, will just have complete invincibility and get to jump back.
Brass having a little trouble maneuvering through the tower. I'm guessing his nerves might just be getting to him. And he actually doesn't have mana for a Judgment Rush, but luckily, well, I guess unluckily, but luckily for him, since he didn't try to do something he couldn't actually do. He didn't make the cycle anyway, so it didn't matter that he didn't have mana.
Steelheart making his way into the safety corner here in the in Tower 2. There's not much left going on. He did not get charged armor. The Striker's Shawl is a staple for these skeletals. Oh my god!
Brass.
Okay, Brass.
Just trying to make things interesting.
Striker's Shawl normally picked up in the Skeletal Sentry route, but basketballs do so much damage. We'll hopefully see Fortuity getting a good fight here. It's basically just a boss rush now. We got Enchantress and we got Nightmare Rees. There's a terrifying way to finish off Enchantress as well, and I'm not quite sure how he's going to feel about going for it. Intentional damage was the beginning. Enchantress moving into the corner. Good shots. He's missing out on some damage. That's enough. Is he gonna? No, okay. He's not going under there. At most, Enchantress with 4 health before you chase her under the floor. I'm glad he didn't. Only 1 hit left. Enchantress down. And it's a good thing Brass got that checkpoint. I barely caught him dying there in the auto-scroller.
Yeah.
Time is coming up for Steelheart. He has to deal with extreme RNG. Nightmare Rees, not very difficult as a last boss. However, for a speedrunner, it's actually very terrible because these rails are completely random. You have to hope they'll actually be right next to Rees' face that you can continuously grind and slash instead of trying to do recoil bounces. And every single hit will basically take you to the back of the screen. He tried to get the quick kill there at the end.
Oh no!
Oh no! 41-45. Good stuff.
Cool, we see Brass going for the mid-air kill before he eventually knocks Black Knight off. The mid-air kill is a lot harder to execute, and it usually involves at least 1, if not 2 or 3 damage boosts in order to stay in the air. I think that was still a solid Black Knight fight.
Absolutely. Black Knight can be extreme torture up and down. So going for either kill is nerve-wracking. Oh, he's actually going for the Striker Shawl. So again, as BrassWolf was a Skeletal Sentry runner, I'm not surprised he would pick that up.
Yeah, I think he mentioned the other day that he likes that right now just because he's used to it, and he'd rather just go with what he knows, which is understandable.
Yeah, the final time for Steelheart was about a 41:55, 41:45. He had a little bit of trouble with life split at the end there, but he has definitely taken this victory. So now we'll see how Brass deals with the Enchantress.
Yeah, he might, if he doesn't go for the under the stage kill, he will at least have an easier time getting some damage out thanks to a charge slash armor.
Getting up there, and I completely agree with picking up that checkpoint. With low percent strats, basically, is pretty difficult. Without the rail mail equipped, he'll have to resort back to. Although it's normal running, it feels like he's walking. Enchantress also deals a full heart of damage, so she's really not the easiest opponent to try and deal with, no matter how armed you are. Her dives are also super random, so I really hope he doesn't get clipped. He can't even just brush into her. All body contact will kill him. But he does make it through.
Oh, a nice first round of damage from Brass. Reese changes his cycles, I think it's after 3 hits, he'll charge at you. After 8, I believe... No, not 8. Is it 11? Yeah, it's 11. Then he starts summoning the fire on the rails. And then after you get him down to, I believe it's 5, then he'll charge at you again. And then he'll transition into the final portion where there's fewer rails and more lanterns. Even less opportunity to hit him. Oh no!
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and this is why Brass chose to pick up the extra health earlier, is because the last few bosses in this game all can deal a ton of damage, especially Enchantress and Nightmare Reese. I think there's only a couple attacks between them that don't deal a whole heart of damage. In Black Knight, you just need a lot of health because you can either choose to damage boost and stay in the air, or you just want it because Black Knight also, again, has a lot of attacks that deal a whole heart of damage. Brass is having a much better time.
Just another hit and a half left.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Bounding Soul MVP. Alright, excellent job from Brass with a 46-18.
Goodness. The boys are good at spooking, that's for sure.
Heck yeah, they are. Just so everyone knows, I once left Specter petting the dog for a whole weekend.
Worth it.
It was.
And we are now joined by our 2 runners.
Ew.
Welcome. Congrats on the win, Steel Heart. And good run, both of you.
Yeah, I was within about 10 seconds of my previous race, which I think is kind of funny.
You went for a lot of big boy strats. Good job, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the beetle skip kind of went pretty south.
I mean, it's one of the harder jumps in the game, regardless of whether or not you have a safe setup for the birder. So that could happen to anybody. I mean, even monkeys fall out of trees.
Yeah, I messed up my setup by not getting the Judgment Rush early enough, so I just was trying to wing it, and as you can see, that didn't go well.
Yeah, it happens. Then Brass was king of the saves tonight. I think I counted about 6 moments where Moo and I both gasped, only for you to like pull off some swag save and be perfectly fine.
That's my usual calling card.
I don't need this type of panic attack at 12 at night!
I told you that was my goal for the race, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, so if we have a moment, what do you two enjoy most about speedrunning Spectre? I want to know.
Tower 1.
Tower 1, you're crazy.
That's
not
a
a bad
fun
choice.
stage.
No, I love Polar Knight personally for going stage-wise. I just like how many tricks there are on that stage. That was actually, that Polar Knight there for me, that was a gold split.
Word.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, it looks like, Brass, you're in Losers Round 3. We're waiting on a couple more matches before we'll get to see you again. And Steelheart, you and me, buddy.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Yeah, looking forward to him.
Me too.
Can that happen on a Sunday night so I can make John Cena memes?
Hopefully.
I'm actually free Sunday night.
We'll think about that. And if that should happen, we'll also make sure we use the palletless Spectre code. That way you can't see us.
That's
Perfect.
spooky.
Issue with that, I'll never finish the run.
That'll be the tiebreaker if we ever need one.
Oh god, no.
No, you should do fast and auto rail as the tiebreaker.
Oh god, no! Reminder that there are a multitude of cheat codes that are often not seen, however extremely fun, depending on how you define fun.
I still think Fast and Auto Rail is not fun.
So, looking at the speed gaming schedule, we have Link to the Past randomizers still going on, and will be continuing to go on into the wee hours of the morning.
Indeed.
And
Honestly. Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
If you're looking for more Specter action, Saturday is booked. Friday, we do have a match at 10 between David and Pika Pete. Saturday, we have Oddbod versus Patois. Patois currently having world record. King Captain versus Breadpan, and Kenny versus Eric DLC. All 3 matches in one day. Get spooked.
I'm ready to get spooky.
Boo.
Any final thoughts about the run from either of you?
Well, overall, I just gotta say I'm really happy with that run. And good job to BrassWolf, and it was a good race.
Yeah, you too. Definitely got some places to practice.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. I am Mumu Akai.
I'm Munchakoopas, and thank you, Fiesel, for all of the hard work you do at speed gaming.
Word.